Most wrap shops are a mess. That's the only reason they need contract labor. It's because they don't really understand what they're doing. And that's okay, right? But especially if it's temporary. As a contract installer, I know that I'm temporary, right? So I want to be there to help you through that process. And so as soon as you recognize that and you see that, it makes pivoting so much easier because I can walk into any sign shop, anywhere, anytime, and I can solve that problem for them at a really high level.
Are you wrapping cars more than 12 hours a day, every day? Working nonstop but can barely get by? Burnout, missing deadlines, and wondering just how much longer you can keep this up?
That was us too. We started our wrap shop buried under $250,000 in debt, and it felt absolutely impossible. But we dug out, built a profitable shop, and are still in the trenches of owning and operating a wrap shop. We're here to share what we learned along the way so that you don't make the same mistakes that we did.
And we're here to help you with the business side of the wraps, like pricing, building a team, streamlining your systems, ultimately so that you can run your shop and your shop stops running you.
Welcome to the Wrap Ops Podcast, brought to you by Wrap Fam Unleashed.
This is Tanner here, coming at you with another live interview from the ISA conference. And I do want to do a quick shout out to the Wrap Institute and to the ISA conference itself for allowing us this amazing booth space to get these live interviews so that you guys can benefit from these nuggets of information from these industry giants. And today is one of those giants. We sat down with Scott Decker with WrapOn, and he has an incredible story in his just kindness and perseverance and all of the pivots that he has done and all of the different roles and hats he has worn. Is an interview that is going to move you like no other. I really enjoyed sitting down with him, and I'm so grateful that he took the time to be on our podcast. And so you, as our listener, need to also go check out his podcast. But anyway, we're going to dive right in. So here's Scott Decker. So excited to be here with Scott Decker with WrapOn. Welcome, Scott.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being on the pod.
Yep.
So we're going to dive right in.
Cool.
Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself by telling us how you got your start in the industry? Take us all the way to the beginning.
Okay. So I'm Scott Decker. I'm from Central North Carolina. Racing is a big part of my life. I raced as a kid, grew up in racing. I wanted to stay involved with racing. And so marketing is a big thing for racing, right? Like, so getting sponsors and just being really, focused on like brand awareness and promoting yourself. And I'm pretty particular. Like I like to look good, and I like to, be able to make a statement. It's one of those things where it's like, if you're winning, you want to look good while you're winning, right? Yeah. So I want to be in control of that. Okay. So doing my own graphics just made sense. As I got older, racing is very tough. It's a very competitive space. Yeah. And so for me, like I said, I wanted to stay involved with racing. So it was like, I did my own graphics. So now I'll just do graphics for other people. And, just over time, made a living doing graphics.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
So then how do you get from that to where you are today? Can you walk us through kind of that timeline?
Yeah, sure. So contract installation made the most sense.
Okay.
I bought a printer, plotter. There was like a massive hub in Central North Carolina that pretty much did all the motorsports graphics. And I would have retired from there. Have you ever heard of Vimela?
Yeah.
So Vimela is like a giant mecca. So they bought out Motorsports Designs.
Oh, okay.
So it turned in very corporate. I was low on the totem pole. I got let go. It was a kind of earth shattering for me because like I said, I wanted to retire from there. It checked all the boxes for me. So after I was let go, I was like, well, I have to make a decision. I just don't want to have a boss again. I don't want to leave this up to somebody else to decide if I can be in this space. And so I just started working at it. And after a few years of printing and laminating and selling and designing and
wearing all the hats.
Yep. You look at the books and you think, I'm looking at them like, okay, well, all my profits in installation, how can I just focus on installation?
Okay.
So that turned into growing an installation company. I had some really good mentors and really good partners, and we grew a very successful installation company.
And that means you did install only. Okay? Just making sure I'm understanding that.
And we primarily focused on professional race teams.
Cool.
Yeah,
which is nice because that's kind of keeping your interest right there. It's a very interesting niche.
Hendrick Motorsports was one of our biggest clients. We were with them for 10 years. We had 4 championships with them.
Wow.
And I could really nerd out on that because like Jimmy Johnson's, so there's only been a few people that's ever won 7 championships. Jimmy Johnson was one of them. We wrapped his car.
Cool.
So it was very cool.
Yeah.
So, and then from there, it was like I had partners and we were working with different brands doing content. I've always been really comfortable in front of the camera. I don't mind just kind of being myself. I think a lot of people relate to that. I don't try to sugarcoat anything really. There's times that you have to button up and you have to, especially with the 3M stuff, is like you really need to be tight because you're not just representing you, but you're representing this massive brand. And so yeah, we just content was a big thing. So we were working with brands, and I was still doing installs. We were still doing content. I was selling some products here and there. So I could. There's a long story to this, but kind of the short, cliff notes. Just
You're good. We got time.
yeah.
You dive
Okay.
into what you
Well,
want to dive into.
So we grew this installation company, and you get up to 15 installers, right?
Wow.
And so I'm always trying to like save money and try to find different ways that we can keep product on the shelf. And so we started wholesaling from manufacturers. We would buy, overstocking squeegees, knives, blades, torch, whatever.
Okay.
And then we would split the inventory. So I would sell half of it online, and then I would have the other stock for our installers.
Okay.
That business, it just kind of showed me a different business model that, localized clients was my business, right? So we serviced our local clients. As soon as we went online with products, it was like
Totally different.
totally different
Yeah.
ballgame. And so I was very interested in that space.
Can I interrupt you?
Yeah, of course.
Were you selling like you had your own storefront, like
Yep.
Shopify or
Yep.
like Amazon?
Amazon was our big.
Okay, it was on
our-
Amazon.
Yeah,
okay,
that was our biggest one.
What time frame are we in? Where are we at? What year is this?
That was probably 2016.
Oh, okay,
ish.
gotcha. So that was
Yeah.
a while ago.
Yeah, it was about 10
okay,
years
about 10
ago.
years.
Yep.
Okay,
And
sorry
so-
to interrupt. Keep
no,
going.
you're fine. So Rolly Pro was one of our biggest products, right?
Oh,
so,
nice.
So Rolly Pro,
Does that still exist?
yeah, the Rolly Pro is huge. It's massive.
Yeah, because he was trying to buy some Rolly Pros recently, and he was like,
Yeah.
"I can't find them anywhere."
So
I don't
the guy
know
that
what
invented
happened.
the Rolly Pro, he was one of my really good friends.
Yeah.
We worked together really tight. He gave me the opportunity to become a distributor. So we started selling Rolly Pros.
Yeah.
And we were making content and selling product.
Right.
And obviously we were still doing installs, but it just all kind of worked together, if that made sense, right? Because we needed product. We needed a lot of product, and we had the means to be able to market the product. And, between like Amazon and Shopify, and, it was just this big opportunity for us, and not huge, but it just showed me kind of a new space, right?
Yeah, it's probably exciting when you're kind of
It
doing the
was.
same thing every day too, to have a new set of problems to learn and
100%.
whatnot. That's how I feel about this podcast. It's
Yep.
exciting to do something different. I almost feel more energized going back to the wrap shop after working
100%.
on this for a little bit. Totally get it. Yeah.
And so racing is it's inspirational for me, but like, if you look at the nuts and bolts of it and you see like they're constantly innovating, they're constantly making, it's like their mantra is 1% better every day, and they live by it. It's like
Okay.
they have to because it's competition, right?
Sure.
And so their marketing money pivots on how good they are, right? So
Right.
it's like competition now becomes not just I want to win. Now it's we have to win, right?
Yeah.
And so when you're in that space, you kind of you take on that responsibility.
Sure.
You feel like you have to do the same thing. And so that's the way we approach it. So with tooling, it wasn't always just techniques or material. It was like, well, can we create something that can make our job better and faster? Because we're surrounded by it. That's what everybody else is doing around us. So it was like, well, we
Yeah.
can do the same thing.
Oh, this is interesting how this is all connecting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, working with brands like Rolly Pro, we kind of got to see behind the curtain a little bit, to where I got to see like CNC and injection molding and
Okay.
branding, and how like you mold a product into this, like, it's one thing to have an idea, but to actually like bring it to life to where it's a selling product
Right.
it's a kind of a miserable process, right? The way that the United States has done it over the last kind of couple decades is, it's just, you don't really have a lot of control over it. They outsource a lot of that stuff to other countries, and there's designers, and so lead times could be 18 months, and everybody would talk about how affordable it was, but it was like, in my world, it's like we need to turn and burn. If I want to get paid, we need to get this done as quick as we possibly can, right? So it was like doing a car wrap in a day isn't going to cut it. We need to get it down to 2-3 hours, right?
Okay.
So with tooling, it was like when they would say, well, it's affordable, but it's going to take you 18 months. It's like that doesn't fit for just the way my mind works,
Sure.
right? So we invested into CNC equipment.
Yeah.
We started with 3D printing. 3D printing at the time was okay, and we could get prototypes that worked well for us, but it just wasn't. It just wasn't there yet, and the speed wasn't there, the quality wasn't there. But again, what it did is streamlines this process to make it to where we could actually like have a physical thing that we could touch and feel, and
Yeah, which is exciting.
It was
Yeah,
very
that's
exciting.
cool.
So
You don't really get that with wrapping cars, really.
you don't.
you
No,
know?
there's a little bit like from a design. Like if you're a designer,
Yeah.
and you can print and you can install, there's a little bit of that. But it's so hard nowadays because everybody's trying to scale a business, right?
Yeah.
So it's like
Doing all of that.
you're trying to do all of that. It's just not practical,
Right.
right? So Josh, he's my partner in the tool company. Josh, so I had the idea for the knife tucker. I'll tell that story because I like that story. It was like 2 a.m. We're working on race haulers. So at the end of the year, all the race teams, they remove all their graphics, and then you have to reinstall all the graphics. Okay. So just for perspective, if you're in with a professional race team, they're going to average somewhere around 400 cars a year.
Wow.
Okay. And then you have their haulers, you have their pit boxes, all their interior graphics at the shop, right? So we always called it Daytona, and it was like our busy season, right?
Okay.
It's during the winter.
That's perfect.
Yeah, it was
That's
just
nice.
It was just, it's insanely busy, right?
Yeah.
And it takes everything that you have to be able to get through a Daytona. It's a big deal in our area to survive, you know? And so we're in the middle of Daytona, we're working on race haulers, and all the race haulers have like a very specific molding that goes around the doors, right? These moldings get pretty tight. And this is how thorough we were with it. So the moldings have rubber seals that would go in them. So you could pull the rubber seals out, right? And then you could wrap underneath them.
Right.
Now, the reason we did that was because if the hauler was out in California and the rubber seal blows out, there's still wrap underneath it so it doesn't look funny.
Okay. Yeah, that's what you're saying, instead of cutting it short.
It's a little over the top, right? But again, these are, Rick Hendrick's a billionaire, right?
Right.
So that's the level of
This isn't your local car
not.
club that's, racing a POS.
Correct. They're very particular, right?
Yeah.
So if the seal does blow out and it's not wrapped, the expectation is that, it's not that, why would they wrap in there? It's, no, why didn't they wrap in there,
Sure.
right? So that becomes the new standard. So anyway, this railing system, when it would come in the bottom corners, you can't get a squeegee down into the bottom corner. So you have to use a tuck tool to get down in there.
Sure.
So I'm laying on the floor. I'm tired. Don't want to be there. I want to go home and see my wife, you know. And so I roll over, and my toolbox, the shop's pretty big, right? We can pull a full tractor trailer in, and
Nice.
toolbox is on the other side of the room. And I'm just like, man, I do not feel like walking over there to get my tool.
Just to get a tuck tool.
Just to get a tuck tool.
Yeah.
It's too much. So I ran my blade out on my knife, right? I just kind of take it and run the blade out. And I start tapping down the material with my blade, trying to get it to lay down, just because I don't want to get up and go get my tuck tool.
Yeah.
So when I go to put my knife back up, I'm like, man, what if I had a tuck tool on the end of my knife? That way I didn't have to get up and go get it. I would always have a tuck tool with me.
Yeah.
Right. And so a lot of times too, like when people are working, you'll cut an edge, and then you're like, well, while I'm here, I'll just go ahead and cut this one, and then cut this one and this one. Well, then you may forget to go back and tuck this edge,
Yes.
right? Like it happens, right? Well, if you have a tuck tool on you, you don't have to worry about that,
your
right?
chances
Like
are way less.
Way less, right? Just go ahead and put it down. So that's kind of where it came from. So I get up, I'm all excited. I'm like, this is a great idea. So I take an old squeegee and I'm cutting it up and like trying to make this thing. And I finally get this little handcrafted tuck tool thing crammed into my knife, and I take it over to Josh, and I'm like, this is it. And he was like, dog, you need sleep.
Yeah.
You need to go to bed. This is not. So it took a few days, and I worked on it and cleaned it up and polished it and made it look all sexy. And he finally was like, yeah, that's good.
That's pretty good.
People will like that.
Yeah.
So he said, you buy the equipment, I'll learn how to do it. And that's how it started. And that's how it's always been that way.
awesome.
So Josh is he's intuitive and he's very problem solution based. Not necessarily, he is creative, but not necessarily from a creative standpoint. It's more like mechanically, right? Like if a machine is supposed to do this, I can get it to do that, and we can make the parts. He's very cut and dry like that.
Yeah.
So the relationship works really well to be able to, hey, I've got this idea. Can you make a practical means of producing this product? And so over time, you just, you start with one, make another one, and make another one. And so we invested into the manufacturing equipment, and that was really cool because now it gives us an opportunity to just be creative kind of all the time.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's not, before we were kind of reliant on, the buddy system. Maybe you call a company and you ask them to do something, and you're like, hey, can you make this? Can we do this? Now it's just, I go upstairs and I say, hey, Josh, what do you think of this? And he says, give me a couple hours. I'll have us a prototype.
Cool.
Yeah.
So is there a transition there where you're wrapping the car and then you come up with this tool idea and you make the tool? Are you still installing, or are you now full-time, like I'm making tools all the time, that's my new thing? Or what is that balance there?
So around 2000, during COVID, they took away show cars. Show cars went away, obviously. So show car department for us was like, you have your competition cars, you have your backup cars, and then you have your show cars. So like, if you've seen over in the Arlon booth, there's a cup car in the Arlon booth. That's a show car, right?
Okay.
It's dedicated. They take it to shows. That's all it's for. Okay. So we could probably do 250, 300 of those cars a year. COVID hit, they took those away. So it was that was a huge impact on our business, right? And then they took practice and qualifying away from the race team. So the sport, I guess, long and short of this is the sport changed a lot during COVID.
Sure. That's
So
what it
then
sounds like.
as we came out of COVID, it was like we're looking at different things and we're like, not they are the sanctioning bodies of racing. They're looking at their business model. We're looking at our business model. And so they moved to this program to essentially race cars now are like giant Lego kits. Okay. So they buy their product, they buy their engine, they buy their
little parts,
all
put
the
it
parts
together.
and they put it together.
It's like a kit car.
It's a kit car.
Type thing,
it's
yeah.
100% a kit car.
Okay.
And so now they've got all these employees. Hendrick Motorsports at one time had 600 employees. They never had a graphics department, right? We were the professionals. They let us do that part. They built the cars. That's what they did. Well, now you have these kit cars, and it's like, well, we really don't need all these people. Can we train these people to do other things?
Right.
Maybe they can wrap some of the cars.
Sure.
Well, we're contractors, so it's like they're not really tied to us in any kind of way. So I always make the sound a little bit more dramatic, but it was hard for me because, like, I was very passionate. Like it was my life. Like it was such a big deal, such a privilege to be there. Like it was incredible. It really was like one of the highest points of my life.
Yeah.
And then one day the phone stops ringing.
Right.
And so it's like, so it was a big change. And I'm one of those people where it's like, when I see problems like that, I'm like, okay, well, they're going to go to in-house programs. How are they going to be successful? Right? How are they going to be able to, because I've dedicated a lot of time and effort into this, to think that you're just going to be able to turn on a light switch and it's just going to happen. It's not.
Right.
So through the 15 years of building an installation company, obviously we had to put together, SOPs and training, modules, and make sure that, my guys knew how I did it, right? 'Cause there's a very specific way that we would operate. That's why our business worked. And so I was like, okay, well, so training really was the transition. So that as I looked at these guys, I'm like, okay, I want to put something together that is tailored to you, that I can help you make sure that you guys are successful in this space. So I started building a race wrap class.
Cool.
Right. So anybody that owns a race car or is interested in racing, I wanted to be able to teach them how to wrap their own race car. And a lot of people, I'm sure when they see the race wrap class, they think, well, that's kind of strange. Like, why would, but unless you're in the racing culture and understand that, like I said, most of the cars are kit cars now, it just kind of makes sense for somebody to wrap their own car. Now, I'm not suggesting they should produce their own graphics, but
Oh, I see. So the audience of these classes are more of the people building the cars,
Correct.
not necessarily an installer.
Correct.
I'm understanding that.
and
Very
maybe
smart.
and maybe it's a Saturday night guy, right?
Yeah.
He races at a local track, and used to, he would weld his chassis, he would build his engine, he'd build his suspension. You're not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
Right? So maybe he wants to learn how to wrap his car. Right?
Yeah.
So he's still going to buy his graphics from his local graphics provider, but he'll install it because
Yeah.
there's a certain level of, like, I don't know, your car is kind of your thing, and
Yeah, it's your thing. And if you did all the effort to build it, you're like, I can put a sticker on.
I can put a sticker on.
I can do it myself.
Right.
Okay, so what I'm getting from this is that you are an expert at pivoting.
Yeah.
Like extremely well at that.
Yep.
So we're going to take a quick break and hear from our sponsors. But when we come back, I want to dive a little bit deeper into basically how you perfect the pivot and how you can help other wrap shop owners know when they need to pivot and how they can do it with some confidence and some finesse.
Perfect.
So we'll see you right when we come back. Stay with us.
After years of running a wrap shop, I've learned this. Your supplier should be a partner, not a question mark. That's why we trust Grimco. For over 5 years now, they have delivered on time and backed us when it mattered most. There's enough to manage in this business. Your supplier should not be one of them. Set up your new account today. Use code WrapOps5 for 5% off your first order with Grimco.
Welcome back to the Wrap Ops podcast. We're here with Scott, and we are going right into how he expertly pivots, which I think is a phenomenal trait of any entrepreneur. You can sit around and cry about something that happened to you, or you can take a second, get back up, and figure out what your plan B is and
Sure.
keep going. So let's go back to your story of all of these pivots and things that have happened and whatnot. I mean, what's your downtime? So you said that you were let go from the job that you
Yep.
absolutely loved.
Yep.
I mean, how long were you down for? Were you kicked down for a year? Were you down for a week? I mean, what's your rebound time?
So thankfully with graphic installation is there's always a need for it, right?
Yeah.
And once you know a shop's pain points, right? Like if you're involved with a shop, you know where the bottlenecks are, right? So for me to walk into a shop and just, normally it's just asking just a couple questions, right?
Sure.
Like, how busy are you guys? What is your pain points? Where does this bottleneck, where the problems come from? 9 times out of 10, it's going to land on installation.
Yeah.
Right.
Always.
And then it's like, okay, well, what's your plan for fixing that? How are you going to solve that? Is there anything that I can do to help? Right. And then
That's a really good way to approach it instead of just, can I work for you?
Yeah. Because again, if you've been in a wrap shop, the installation is a struggle, right?
Yeah.
And so a lot of times, like where I see a lot of contract installers fail is they'll get caught up in the money, right? So they'll hear these things, they'll hear like the dollar figure or the hours or whatever. And it's like, for me, I always seen it as like, as long as you're still making money and I'm helping you solve this problem, you're going to call me every single time.
Yeah.
Right. We've eliminated. Now there's some things like, obviously I need to do a good job. I need to be professional. Right. Like, but if you're struggling with those things, like that, you really need to get those things kind of in place before you even start having this conversation. And, and thankfully I came from the racing space. Right. So most of those guys are clean cut. We're, kind of, we try to be as professional as we can. Even in the amateur level, you're still trying to be as professional.
Yeah, there's a level of professionalism to talking to almost anybody.
100%. So if you have those things in place, then it becomes easy. It's like, okay, well, hey, listen, next time you have a job, what kind of margins do you like to hold in the installation bay, right? If it's 20%, perfect. You don't even have to call me and ask me how much I'll do a job for or any of that stuff, right? Just tell me when it is. Tell me when you have the graphics and when you need it done. I'll show up and get it done.
It's a dream,
right?
It's a dream person to work with.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so you try to make that transition as easy as possible.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to worry about it. So to your point with pivoting, I think that knowing that and knowing that I could really dive off into that and really in detail and like explain. But it's a pretty simple concept, right? Like. They have a problem, you can be a solution, right? Now, that solution can be overwhelming at times, right?
Yes.
Because most wrap shops are a mess, right? That's the only reason they need contract labor. It's because they don't really understand what they're doing. And that's okay, right? But especially if it's temporary. But as a contract installer, I know that I'm temporary, right? So I want to be there to help you through that process, right? And as long as I do a good job at that, you're always going to call me because you're set for growth.
Yes.
And at some point, you're going to be overwhelmed. And you're going to want a little bit of that taken off your shoulders. And I can do that.
Yeah.
Right? I can be that breath of fresh air that comes walking in and solves all your problems. And,
Sure.
And so as soon as you recognize that and you see that, it makes pivoting so much easier because worst case scenario, I can walk into any sign shop anywhere, anytime, and I can solve that problem for them at a really high level.
Yeah. And that's a really great example of knowing your worth as well. But also along with your worth, you're kind of walking the walk and talking the talk, like you're proving it. You're not just walking in and saying, 100%. Hey, I'm awesome and I hit deadlines and then turning around and missing every deadline and pissing this person off. And then I would like to say also in the, the wrap owner space, like the other owners in local areas talk for sure. So whenever, like we'll randomly get a call of from our kind of competition, if you will, but we're all pretty friendly of just like, hey, I have this one person like trying to work with me. What are your thoughts on them? And I'm like, they've burned us like 4 times. And then I doubt that they got the job where it's like, I'm not trying to mess up that person's life, but I need to like let this other person know because they went out of their way to ask me like things haven't gone very well when we tried working with them. And the opposite too, like, oh, they're a dream. Like absolutely use them 100%.
The easiest thing is if you're going to contract install, just do what you say you're going to do.
Yeah.
That's the easiest advice I can give any contract install. Because I get the question all the time, hey man, I'm a contractor. What advice would you, just whatever it is that you say you're going to do, just do it.
Just do it.
And they're going to say, well, the customer did X. Nope. Just do it. Whatever it takes. It's going to suck, right? But that's a contractor. You're at the bottom of the totem pole. All this stuff's going to ride downhill, right?
Yeah.
But you're there to service them, right? So service them, whatever they need, and you'll always have work. But now, if you're not okay with that business model, go find something else, right? Because you're in a service industry, right? I'm sure that, if every time that a customer walks in to get a massage, right? If I was giving people massages and this big, hairy, sweaty guy comes in, I'm not going to be thrilled about it, right? I'm not going to look at this person and be like, I can't wait to do this one,
Yeah.
you know? So it's like, but that's part of the business, right? So if you're going to be in the massage world, guess what? You're going to get the big, hairy, sweaty, nasty guy, and you're going to have to rub his
Sure.
shoulders and take care of him, right?
Yeah.
And so you're going to get sign shops that are they're just tough. They're hard
Yeah.
to work with, right? But you can help them. You can help them get better, and you can teach them the things that, it's just something as simple as consistent overlap.
Yeah.
Let me know what the bleed is, right? Measure the panels before you make them. And I'm not suggesting like as soon as you walk in the door, you set all these crazy standards, but just like help them.
Yeah.
Make them understand it, because eventually they're going to get rid of you. Your goal, you don't want to pay these high prices for contract labor, right?
Right.
But if you can help them through that process, and the cleaner that you can make it, one, you're going to make more money in the short term.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're going to make it faster for them, better for them. You're going to be able to get it done faster. And then in the long term, they're always going to see you as that resource, right? It's
Yeah.
going to make it harder. Here it is. I've hand delivered this perfect little installation bundle for you to make your life better. It's going to be really hard for you just to shut off the light switch one day and say, no, we're not going to call them anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
So essentially you're describing how to have repeat clients.
That's it.
How
to properly serve a
and
client.
retain them.
Yeah, 100%.
Because, it takes so much more time and effort to get new clients
Yep.
versus just servicing
And I
the
guess it
ones
was
that you have.
a really long way to answer your question, but knowing that you have that, being able to service a client like that, and it allows me to move through the industry and not really. I've trained enough people and I've worked with enough people to know that installers don't generally think about serving their client that way, right? Installing is very egocentric. They're very big head. They think, and I shouldn't say they, it's we, right? Because I fall in this category, but we think a lot of ourselves, right? We're very prideful. At the end of the day, if I'm doing work for you, I'm there to service you and your needs and what you need, right? And so that you really have to keep that in perspective. I always ask people like, who's your customer? And they would say, well, I'm wrapping the guy's car, and who's your customer?
Yes.
Right?
That makes sense. It's kind of like, sorry to
No, you're
interrupt
fine. Yeah,
you,
you're good.
but it's like, if you're working with a contractor and that's their only truck, like a roofer or a plumber or whatever, and that's their only vehicle, of course they're going to be on your case about when is it done.
That's right.
Because they can't make any money while they're sitting there versus, a massive company that the van's just sitting there until it gets wrapped. Probably not the end of the world
Or,
if you run a little late,
think about like Coca-Cola, right? If you're doing a job for a marketing company that services Coke,
Sure.
right? You're producing the colors, right? And you're printing everything, you're doing the whole job, but there's a middleman somewhere in between.
Right.
You may think that you're doing the job for Coke, right? You're not. Your client is that middle person.
middleman.
You're servicing them, right? So this is a really easy one. So what we would do is we would wear a uniform. Gray shirt, black pants, black belt, black socks, clean tennis shoes, black hat, all carried the same tools, same toolbox,
Oh, that's
no
actually
branding.
cool. Yeah.
Right? So every time that you've seen somebody walk in that uniform, you knew who they were, why they were there, right? And what you didn't have to worry about is when your client came walking through, you didn't see any branding or logos or anything like that, right? So as far as your client was concerned, these guys work for you, right? So now I'm representing you in the best way that I know how.
That's a really interesting appeal to it
100%.
because I feel like even, we have been stuck in it where we want our logo in it and we want the credit, and I never thought about it in that light. That's a really interesting
But you got to remember
perspective.
who's cutting the check.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you're cutting me the check, I'm there to service you. I want you to be happy. I want to make
Yeah.
sure that I'm doing everything I can to service you, right? Because Coke's not calling me, asking me to come in and do that job. You're calling me in to come do that job. So how can I make this best for you? How can I make the experience better for you? And
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so once you get that mindset, it becomes really easy, because now it's like, if I've only got to service one person, that's so much easier than having to serve. Like for you guys, I'm sure that producing graphics for multiple companies is you're juggling all these different things. Whereas if I just have to service you,
Yeah.
a couple conversations, it becomes really simple to know where your problems are, and I'm just going to do my best to make sure that we're
Yeah.
solving those problems consistently.
Yeah, you have a very good eye for that. Even when it came down to pivoting to teaching the race car drivers how to
100%.
do their own wraps, like you have a really good eye for saying, okay, here's the problem, here's how I can step in to fix it. So is that related to the 3M training or the whole training track of life? Did you see was that a pivot? Or
I think it was because maybe my mom didn't love me enough. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
We're getting deep
My
here.
mom loves me. No,
Hi, Mom.
hey, Mom. Problem solution, right? So people overcomplicate things, and you just want to make them as simple as possible. I think a lot of it comes back to racing for me. Once you get a taste for winning, right, you just want to win across the board.
Sure.
You just want to be a winner, right? And so like the easy way for me to do that is like, there's like this old racing thing that's like, you want to win, do what the winners are doing, right? Now that sounds really easy, right? You can look at the other competition, see what they're doing, and then just mimic that. And that's going to get you really close. But there's another like 10 or 15% there that's left for innovation. And that's where a lot of people mess up, is they don't leave that gap, right? So you've got good, better, best, right? You've got the guys out there that are pretty good and they're working really hard and they have that great intention and they're putting in all the hard work, right? But they're just not quite there, right? And then you've got that better, that option that when you look at them, you know, like, these guys, man, they're going to be good. And then you've got the best, right? And that best, for me, I've always, that last little bit of innovation. So like, for example, I'll just use Hendrick Motorsports. Hendrick Motorsports, the way that series was structured at the time when we were winning all the races was they looked at a series and they would say, okay, we want to go out. If you won, I'm nerding out here just a little bit, but if you win one race, you make it into the championship. So when the season starts, your goal is to win one race. After that, every race becomes testing. So you're not there to win anymore. You're there to test because you want to prepare for the championship.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Completely different mindset. Whereas most racers are going to the track and they're saying, I want to win every race. Right. So are you there to win races or are you there to win championships? Right?
Yeah.
And so most people don't even think of it like that. They're like, well, no, the more races I win, the better chance I have of winning a championship.
Right.
Not necessarily. If you won the race, right, if you won one race, you're already in contingency to win a championship, right? So now it's all about how much information can I get together to be able to win a championship. And so it's like, when you start looking at your goals, right, you really be clear on what those goals are. It becomes a lot easier to execute. And a lot of people think in the real short term, right? And so short-term solutions, for me, again, whoever's cutting the check, just find out what the problems are and serve them. That becomes really easy. And so pivoting, kind of going back to that, makes it really simple for me because in the short term, it's like problem solution, right? If you have a problem, I'll solve that. I'll come up with a solution. You're going to need me. Perfect. We're good. We can make that happen really quickly. And then the long tail of that is it's like sustainability, right? Like how can we put programs together that make sense? And tooling for us, tooling and training for me made a lot of sense because it's like now I'm not just trying to service one person. Now I'm trying to service on a bigger scale. So does that make sense?
Yeah. Did that ever spread you too thin, or is it, you know what I mean? How did you manage doing those three things at one time?
People. So, you know, as you're scaling a business, people, there's it's kind of another old like saying people would say, like, you know, you don't abdication versus delegation, right? And so most people, what they'll do is they'll practice abdication, where they assume that I've hired somebody quality and they should be able to do this, and then they let them handle it, and then they go do something else. Whereas delegation is, I would much rather have somebody that doesn't know anything. You know, I'm notorious for finding a guy at a gas station that's looking for work. He's hard up and he doesn't know what to do. 9 times out of 10, I'd much rather deal with that person than somebody that thinks they know what they're doing. Right. Because for somebody to think that they're going to come in and properly serve me and they don't know what my needs are. Right. The interview process with me is a fun time.
Okay.
Right. Because if you think that you know what I need, I would love to hear you tell me what I need. Right. Because chances are you have no idea.
Sure.
Half the time I don't even know what I need. Right. But so when I've got somebody that comes in and they're like, hey, listen, I don't know anything, but I work really hard. Perfect. That's all. If you'll just work really hard and you'll be patient, you'll listen. I'll tell you exactly what I need, and then you just do those things, and we'll be good. So that delegation makes it really easy. But again, delegation is only going to get you to like a good, maybe a better.
Okay. And you're going for best here.
Always going for best, right? Because we're here to win, right? So I like to surround myself with people that I want them to have that ability to be able to innovate. I want them to be able to be creative, right? So it's fantastic that you can run a spreadsheet. It's fantastic you can keep up with numbers, right? Like all those things are important. Or if I give you a task and you can say, I'll move the pin here and I'll move it back at 12 o'clock, that's fantastic. But I want to come in the next day and you be like, hey, listen, you remember that pin thing? I got bearings on that thing now. I can slide it over and I can slide it back.
Like actually solving a problem versus just that Band-Aid.
Yep.
You know, I did it for now.
And they need it. They need to have, like, I've always, like, I'm passionate about racing, right? So it makes it really easy for me because that passion, like, I can go back to that and say, well, I can work a little bit later. I can work a little bit harder because it drives me. Like, I get excited about it, you know? And when people aren't passionate about things like that, they just kind of lose it. Now,
Yeah.
again, this is kind of like hunting. I call it like hunting for eagles, right? Like you're looking for this specific person, but there's some tasks that you don't need that type of person. Sometimes people are excited about spreadsheets.
Yeah.
Let them be excited about spreadsheets.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you guys have ever done like a deep dive on like spreadsheets on TikTok or Excel on TikTok. It's the coolest shit I've ever seen in my life. Like,
I have to do that. I actually haven't.
Do you
Not on
like-
TikTok specifically.
do you like?
I am a spreadsheet girl. I make all of our spreadsheets for our business.
We need to shut it
so-
down. We need to jump on
We need
TikTok
to
right
jump
now.
out.
I'm telling you, it's like the
Yeah.
coolest thing in the world. Like these people are using Excel in ways that I would have never.
Yeah,
thought
it's
was
crazy.
possible.
It does
Like,
some crazy things.
it is
You know what's
incredible.
helped Excel is ChatGPT. Because if you
100%.
don't know how to do something, you can be like, how do I make this happen?
I'm telling
And
you.
it's crazy the formulas it pops
Hop
out.
on TikTok and just dive.
Okay,
off
and
into it,
dive
'cause,
into
like,
that.
Some of those.
That's our
people-
homework.
Well, and I love like. See, that's another thing is like I love when somebody's. I don't care what you're passionate about. I really don't.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, right? And sometimes it's really hard, but like I enjoy digging that out of somebody.
Yeah, and you can see people dim themselves when they're doing something they're not passionate about. And so we've had people move around within our shop
Yep.
because I'm like, I notice you keep, like, we have an intern who was doing basically cleaning the cars, cleaning the shop, not doing well at it. But we noticed he's always on his phone, loves social media. So we started having him get
There you
pictures
go.
and you just see a light, like
Yep.
he's a new person.
Yep.
And so it's interesting because you're taking the same person, but you're just kind of pivoting them to
Yep.
something that they look like they enjoy.
Yep.
And then you see them like really, like he's working through lunch. And I'm like, this is
100%.
a whole different person.
Yeah.
So it's cool.
It gives me cold chill. Like that, whatever that is, like that's probably that gets me more excited about anything because I don't give up on people very easily.
Yeah.
Like most, you know,
And that's hard as a business owner because you get used to people giving up on you, you know?
Yeah, a lot of people say that, and I don't feel that way at all because
Really?
yeah, because I'm pretty thorough with it. Like you're gonna give up on you before I do. That's the way I feel.
Oh, okay.
Right? Because I'm not going to. We're gonna figure it out. That's
Yeah.
the way I feel about it. Now,
So you must be great at communication then.
yeah, I like to think so, but
Yeah.
the problem is that not everybody wants to communicate.
That's where I was going next. I'm like, my problem is always I get the silent treatment. You
Yep.
know, I don't want to tell you what's wrong. And I'm
Yep.
like, I don't know what to do with this.
Cool. So I'll hit a little piece of advice.
Sure.
Right.
Please.
At some point, people will get to that. They'll get to where they're shutting down, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. If they have a task and they're good at the task, right? Let them do it. Let them perform. And at some point, right? Because again, if not communicating, like if we're cutting it off there, right? At some point, we're gonna have to.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna want something from me. You're gonna need something from me. Perfect. When they come to me, I'm gonna do my absolute best to deliver at the highest level that I possibly can, right? And put everything, like I don't care what it costs, like money, time, effort, whatever, like whatever it is, let's do it, right? Because a lot of times people just want you to level with them. They want to know that you care as much as they do, right? And again, like if I see somebody, Excel is such a funny thing because like it's such a powerful tool, right? So if I see somebody that's like that passionate about something like that, like if they get on a tear and the things that they can do with it it's incredible.
Yeah.
It really is. And it's beautiful. Like the fact that somebody can find the space. So when you give those people that opportunity, and a lot of times like the communication part about it is like it's the question, right?
Yeah.
Like
And
whatever
listening.
the roadblock is, like let's get to it. And you're not forcing them to talk, right? So it's like finding the thing. I guess that's the pathway, right? Like let's find the thing that it is that you want to talk about. And eventually we're going to get to the point to where there's something keeping you from doing that.
Yeah.
And that's generally what the shutdown is,
Sure.
right? Like, so if it's 9 times out of 10, it's money. I've seen it. Like, it takes forever for us to get to it, but we're going to get to it. Money and time. That's
Yeah.
what it turns into, this balance, right? And so if I can just get them to say that,
Yeah.
right? Then it's like, okay, now here's how much, and I'm pretty aggressive with it because finances are really not that complicated, right? Money coming in, money going out.
There's
right?
a lot of money illiteracy
there is
going on, and that part is hard to watch.
Keep it simple, right? Keep your income higher than your expenses.
Right.
Right. It's that simple, right?
Yeah.
And then some people just lose sight of that, right?
Yeah.
One of the most dangerous phrases in the world is, I work hard, I deserve it. right? That right there will break you every single time because it's true.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's a true statement. We run into it a lot with Josh. Josh does so much for the company as far as like manufacturing, and he's not just building processes, but he's not just building tools, he's building processes, right? So when he's building these processes, he's actually manufacturing and making tools. He's like, man, like we need to pay somebody really good for this. And I'm like, I agree. Need to pay him really good for this. And he's like, yeah, like, they should make $50 an hour. And I'm like, okay, where did you come up with that number? Well, if I was going to do this, well, hang on a second, Josh. Like,
Yeah.
you're very qualified at doing, like, do you really think you need to be putting tuckers in cans? And he was like, well, I don't mind doing it.
Not the
Is that what
question.
you want to do?
Yeah.
Right? Do you want me to pay you $50 an hour to put a tucker in a can every day?
Yeah.
No, I don't want you. No. But now if you're designing a mold, or if you're in this space that produces that kind of money,
Sure.
perfect. Like, so for us, we run in these challenges where it's like, as business owners, we are wearing different hats, right? And you feel empathetic to these people, to your employees, to your customers, and it's this balance between the two. But people just have to understand that, like, to keep things very simple. Don't overcomplicate things, right? Get down to the root of it as quick as you can, right? And when you have those terms and phrases that you feel limiting or that you feel like are holding you back, just get rid of them, right? Get rid of expectation. People have this whole thing with expectation where they think that they deserve something, and
Yeah. It's funny you say that. A common thing with me and Andrew, he says all the time is like, was the situation wrong or was your expectation wrong? And that comes often too with like people letting you down. If someone lets you down 5 times, on the 6th time, why did you expect them not to let you down? Because the problem's not with them anymore. The problem's that your expectation keeps staying where it's at when you should have lowered it of them. And same with customers, same with business. It's just what's your expectation going into things. So yeah, I totally agree.
I tell a funny story. So my wife would call me and she would be upset about something, and I'm problem solution. And you
and Andrew get along great. Does she want to that sucks, but you're over here solving it, and she's like, I don't want you to solve it.
That's it.
That's me.
So it took me a little while to see like she would get off the phone and she wouldn't be happy. And I'm like, what did I do wrong? That was a perfect solution. I just solved the problem.
Yep.
I'm a rock star. I want to pick up the phone and call her back and be like, that I really
I just fixed you.
Like I just rocked this out.
Yeah.
And you're so upset. What's the problem?
Right.
So I got to this point where I was like, well, wait a second. Are you calling me for a solution? Or are you calling me to listen? Because it's 2 completely different things.
That's the perfect question.
Right? And really, like, it even gets, like, I even say, like, are you calling me to bitch or are you calling me to fix it?
Yes.
Right? Because I'm good with either one. Right? Because
that's so funny. This is the exact conversation me and Andrew have all the time, where he'll be like, what can I do to help you in this situation?
Right.
And I'm like, I just need you to tell me that sucks.
Yep.
And he goes, okay, wow, that sucks.
But think about that from a communication, like when you're dealing with with an employee or a partner or anybody, right?
Like, is this event, or do you need me to go out of my way to fix this problem?
sure.
We have that a lot at our shop when they're complaining about something minute, like another employee did this, and are you venting, or do you need me to go talk to that employee? Because I don't think it's, and they're like, nah, it's not that big of a deal.
Right.
And it's like, okay, you just need to say it.
But now they'll compound over time, where it's like you get enough of those things, right? Like I've had people over time where they're like, man, it just feels like all these problems are stacked up on my shoulder, and I'm like, all these problems, like what? And they were like, well, you remember I told you about this, and I told you about this, and I was like, yeah. At the end of each one of those conversations, you were like, it's not a big deal, it's not a big deal. Now all of a sudden, because there's 50 of them, right now, it just feels like it's really heavy.
Yeah.
So I'm big on like compartmentalizing, like breaking down. I want to get down to the root of it, right?
Nice.
And so a lot of times,
You'd make a great therapist.
I think so.
Yeah, maybe that, if you need to pivot again.
I used to tell people,
Wrap industry therapy. We could use you.
I used to tell people that I was an overpaid babysitter. That's what because you would corral all these installers, right? And you get to a certain point to where they have a good understanding of what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
So really, I'm just making sure that you've got your squeegee and your knife and the job's lined up and you're gonna get paid, and so it's like I'm just a big babysitter at this point. Like I'm just making sure all the stuff that you don't want to take care of is taken care of.
I totally feel that. We even joke at our shop too sometimes with like employees. Andrew's like, man, when our kid's a teenager, like we are ready, because you're dealing with the I'm late and this is why and all of these things. And he's like, we are good on teenagers. We'll be great. So it's funny.
So kids, you have? We
just had one. We have a 7-week-old actually at the Airbnb with my mom right now. Yes. Oh. So this has been it's been a long day because I'm up all night with the baby, and then I'm doing the interviews here at the show.
Good
so
on you. That's
thank you. It's been tough, but it's very rewarding. So can't complain too much.
Kids are the best and most challenging thing that
Yeah.
ever.
You have kids?
2.
I assume.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
old?
So my daughter just turned 18. My son's 12.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you'll have to give me some advice because we're just starting out.
Boy or girl?
Boy.
Boys are easy.
You know what's funny? I said the same thing to Andrew. I'm like, I think boys are easier, so that's probably good.
Our son.
So-
Well, I have 2 fantastic kids.
Uh-huh.
Both Kate and Austin. Love them both.
Hi,
Fantastic
Kate and
kids. Yep. But it's funny because Dana, my wife, she worried so much about our daughter growing up. She was always waiting for the hard time. And I'm sitting back and I'm like, well, maybe it won't.
Yeah.
Like, like
Maybe it's going to be great.
Maybe it'll just be good. You know?
Yeah.
And we, when she turned 16, she started driving. That was probably about the hardest time, right? Because it was like a phase there where we weren't cool anymore.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
I'm afraid of that already.
It's tough, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't.
And you're super cool, so that's shocking. So everyone must go through that then. Yeah.
I was like, man, I'm like
because you're not like a nerdy dad.
I do nerd out sometimes. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
I get a little nerdy. She gets mad at me when I put my hat on backwards.
What? That's cool.
I thought so.
Oh,
too.
okay. So that's out now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
I
can't
have
do
to
it.
stay up with it. I don't know.
But she went through this phase, and then DECA. Are you familiar with DECA?
Mm-mm.
So DECA is it's like a young entrepreneur thing for high schoolers.
Oh, okay.
So it's like a class.
Cool, I didn't know that.
It's some of it's extracurricular too. So it's like they go to a conference but essentially they build a business.
Nice.
Right. So she's done it for 3 years. The first year she done it as just like extracurricular. She just wanted to do something. I think they got a pin. I know they get that whenever they graduate, they get a pin that goes on their sash if they go
Oh,
through
yeah. You got to
DECA.
build that sash.
So she wanted to build the sash up.
I remember that.
Yep. And so, but DECA, it's for it's for people that are in high school that are interested in being a business owner.
Well, that had to be inspired by you. I'm not certain if your wife owns a business as well, but okay, then
she's
it's
very
you.
creative, but no,
Sure.
she's very structured. I always tell the joke that when we first got together, she would always ask me when I was going to get a real job. She would say, "When are you going to get a real job? You play with stickers for a living. Like, when are you going to get a real job?"
Yeah.
Anyway,
Oh.
yeah,
You're like, thank you.
yeah. But so no, as originally, like when Caitlin first signed up, it was just she wanted the pin. I think I don't think it was. I don't really feel like she was inspired at the time. She went through the program, and she never asked me a thing about it.
Mm-hmm.
Not really. I would ask her like, "How's it going?" You know.
Well, and good on you for not like
Yeah.
forcing it. Just
and I
let
would
her come
never.
to you.
So when
Yeah.
when you're like, I'll even say like when you're hyper passionate about something and you have kids, it's really hard because if they even show like 1 ounce of interest in racing, it's like, I want to tell you every single thing that has ever happened. I don't
You
want
have to throttle
You
it.
have to back off, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
you don't want to pressure them one way or the other, right?
Mhm.
And so
I am nervous of that.
you just wait
Yeah.
for it, and
Okay.
because they're
Just
gonna
hold
be,
your tongue, I guess.
Well, they'll be good at something,
Yeah.
and you don't want to take that away from them, right?
Mhm.
Like you'll see them light up, and it's like, yeah, why would we ever talk about racing or stay? Like she's a cheerleader, right?
Sure. Mhm.
We're not going to talk about racing if what lights you up is cheer. We're gonna do cheer.
That's awesome.
I don't care. Like, well,
Yeah.
you'll never have to go to a racetrack again. Like,
Sure.
yeah.
We're trying to have the mantra of just like whatever they do, as long as we encourage them to be the best at it, we're happy.
That's it,
And it
yeah.
doesn't matter what that thing
Yep.
is. Because I feel like, even kind of my parents did it and his parents did it it's like your baby is born and you go into this is what they're going to be when they grow up. And it's
100%.
like, that's not
It
in your
doesn't work
control
that
at
way.
all.
No.
Yeah. So
And
that's great.
even if it was, like, why would you do that to them?
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
let them be who they are.
Sure.
So she goes through it, and then finally, she was about 3/4 of the way through her second time in DECA. Me and Dana were having a conversation, and I had mentioned that, like, well, hey, like, we don't have to worry about that. We'll go back and we'll look at. I can't even remember what it was. I want to say it was like a supply thing.
Okay.
And it when I used a phrase of some sort that just kind of triggered her, and she was like, well, why would you know that? And I was like, well, it's kind of what we do. Like, we have
Yeah.
to know that running a business. She was like, yeah. They talk about that in DECA. Like, there's spreadsheets for that. And I'm like, yep.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have spreadsheets. I'm like,
Yes,
yeah,
I do.
we do. We do. Like, we have to. Like, it's
Yeah.
part. And she was like, well, what about? I think the original question she was talking about. They had built I think it was like a food truck model.
Oh, okay.
And she was talking about marketing and how they, how they're gonna allot capital for marketing and like cost of customer acquisition and like, so it was like this really good like entry to like
Entrepreneurship.
no, I can help. Like
I see what
can,
you're saying.
I can,
Okay.
Like I can answer whatever that.
You're like, finally, the moment's here.
What this is the one, right?
Yes.
And thankfully, it was kind of in marketing, right? It's
Sure.
Like even,
and food truck. That's kind of
was-
like also weirdly like related.
I know. It
Yeah.
was part like so, and I was able to answer the question. It was like, then it was like I was cool again.
Nice.
It gives me cold chills just saying it. Like it was
Cool.
so, like I can remember just sitting there and I was like, oh God, thankfully. So then when she did her senior year, it was like,
Yeah.
now we're talking and like she's running ideas. And it was so, I don't think that it's something like she's in healthcare. So I don't think that she may, I guess there's an opportunity, but it was just cool that was the scariest thing is just not being cool. There was a period where you're just not cool. And that was
Makes
tough.
sense.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
of
you
course,
for the advice.
Sorry.
No, all is good. And we are wrapping up here. So is there
Cool.
any last thing that you want to shout out? Do you want to promote your podcast so
Sure.
that people will go and subscribe?
Yep.
And go ahead, give your plug. This is your time.
Cool. So WrapOn is the company. So we try our best to really stay focused on training, tools, and media. So, and we kind of break those up to WrapOn Tools is the tool company, right? So the flagship product was the knife tucker. WrapOnTools.com. You can find it at pretty much anything and everything we do.
So if they want to purchase a knife tucker, they go to WrapOnTools.com. Okay,
yep.
got it.
And then for training, I just launched in the first of this year the race wrap class at WrapOn Academy. So if you own a race car, if you're interested in racing, if you work at race teams, we really focus on that. We cater to the racing community.
Nice.
As far as
And
all of our
can we
training.
refer like our clients in Ohio? Could I refer them to
100%.
that? That's fine. Okay,
Yep.
perfect. Because
And
we
it's-
have a lot of race car people that come in, so
And
that's
it-
exciting.
And because most shops don't want to go out and do race cars, right? Like it's not. Most of the time, race people are going to bitch about the price. They're gonna complain. They're going to be
You're spot
last
on.
minute. It's going to be
Yeah.
the most miserable customer, right? So it's like if you could just produce the graphics and give it to them and just say, hey.
And that's
handle
cool
it.
because that's servicing them. You
Exactly.
are fulfilling that need that they have. You're solving a problem.
Yep.
So,
And-
that's super exciting.
it's
I didn't know
stream-
that existed. So I'm
Well,
really glad that we had this conversation.
It didn't, right? It didn't
Yeah.
exist. It wasn't a thing. And I think you're gonna see it more over time where especially big companies, and that's a whole nother conversation. But
We'll have to get you back on.
yeah, 100%.
Awesome.
So then the media side of stuff, we do content for brands. We try to, we make videos, promotional stuff. We work with great brands like Brothers Chemical, Wrap Glove, 3M, and just we produce a lot of videos, training content, marketing content, and that's where the podcast comes from. So,
Awesome. And how do we contact you for that service?
the easiest way is probably through the academy. The media stuff. It's funny. We unintentionally built a media company because we knew we were going to have to market our stuff,
Sure.
right? And so we wanted to be in control of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you really looked at like the brass tacks of our company, we're really just a manufacturing company. We just try to manufacture processes. We manufacture tools. We manufacture media.
Cool.
And so we look at that as like, well, if you have a need for content or if you have need for podcast, if you have, if you need that, we have a service for that.
Awesome. I love that. Well, thank you. Well, be sure to check out Scott on all of those services. We are going to put the all of the links in the show notes, and
Awesome.
we'll have you tagged on everything. And that's going to wrap it up
Thank
for
you
that.
guys for having me. This is really
Yeah.
cool. And the fact you guys do it at the show is awesome.
Thank you.
I
We
don't
have
think
some
I could
kinks
do
to
it.
work out, so you might have to give me some tips, like the headphones, and like his mic is way cooler, so you're going to see my mic look like that next because I'm stealing that. And yeah, we've already learned a lot, so that's exciting.
Come to the studio. Come do an episode with us. We'd love to have you.
Yeah,
It'd be
I've seen
great.
on your videos. It's sweet. Yeah,
It's
we got to build something. It's on the list.
yeah.
It's on the list.
It's fun. That's what I started to say. Like being at the show is tough because
Mm-hmm.
we get a lot of people that come in and they're so distracted.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I try to stay pretty focused, but even
You did great.
I'm sitting here and I'm like looking around and
I know there is a lot walking around.
Yeah.
We need like the glass walls, but you'd still see out.
Yeah.
So
But it's cool that you guys do it, and especially just like you just having a kid and you're out here. Like,
Oh, thank you.
kudos to you. Like that's
thank
incredible.
you giving me my flowers. I was out
Yes.
pumping in the hallway.
I said you're both and
Andrew.
yeah. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
it's okay.
Like he is like on it. Like he's working out there. He's over here. Like
Oh yeah, you can't
both
get
you
him to
guys are
sit
like
still.
wide open.
So
I don't
thank
know.
you so
I
much.
think it's
We're
really cool.
trying.
So
So I appreciate it.
Of course.
Awesome. Well, it was great having you.
Thank
And
you.
please make sure to subscribe to the podcast if you're not already, and we will catch you in the next episode.
The Wrap Institute, the largest online wrap training platform, now with a special offer. Use our code WRAPOPS15 for 15% off your order.